Most people spend Lincoln pennies without checking them first, and that can be a costly mistake. Some rare dates, old wheat pennies, and mint errors can turn a 1-cent coin into big money. Before you use that penny, look closely. It might be worth far more than you think. The 1974 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint during a period when minting technology was advanced but still vulnerable to unexpected failures. These cents were intended primarily for collectors and proof sets, which makes any error from this year especially intriguing. Unlike ordinary circulation strikes, proof coins are produced with polished dies and carefully prepared planchets, so mistakes are far less common. When an error does appear on a 1974 Lincoln cent, it immediately draws attention from advanced collectors and auction houses, pushing values far beyond what most people would ever expect from a 1-cent coin. BY 1974, Lincoln cents were made with a zinc core coated in copper, a composition that introduced new challenges in the minting process. The thin copper plating could separate, blister, or fail entirely, creating dramatic visual effects. On proof coins from San Francisco, these flaws are particularly noticeable because the mirrored fields and frosted details highlight every imperfection. A 1974 penny with visible plating separation on the obverse sold at auction for more than $76,500, largely because the error was bold, unmistakable, and preserved on an otherwise pristine proof surface point. One of the most valuable categories of 1974 Lincoln cent errors involves doubled dies. A doubled die is created when the die itself receives multiple impressions during manufacture, causing clear doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. On certain 1974 proof cents, doubling has been observed on Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. These doubled features are sharp and separated, not flat or shelf-like. A certified 1974 doubled die-proof penny with strong contrast between mirrored fields and frosted devices sold for approximately $92,300. Demonstrating how much collectors value clarity and eye-appealed off-center strikes are extremely rare on proof coinage, but a few verified examples of 1974 pennies escaped the mint despite significant misalignment. These coins show part of the design missing, with a crescent of blank metal visible along the edge. Because proofs are usually struck multiple times to ensure full detail, an off-center proof is considered an extraordinary mistake. One such 1974 off-center proof penny struck about 30% off-center with the full date still visible, sold for $88,700. Another example with slightly more misalignment but lighter cameo contrast reached $101,400 at a major auction. Clipped planchet errors are another fascinating category. These occur when the blank metal disc is improperly cut, leaving a curved or straight edge missing from the coin. On a 1974 proof penny, a clip stands out sharply against the mirrored surface. A well-documented curved clip example sold for $79,900, while a more dramatic straight-edge clip, believed to have occurred during the blanking process, reached $96,250 due to its rarity and sharp visual definition. Die cracks and cuds are also found on some 1974 Lincoln cents, though they are far less common on proof issues than on circulation strikes. A die crack appears as a raised line on the coin, while a cud forms when a piece of the die breaks away, leaving a raised blob of metal. A proof penny with a large cud near Lincoln's shoulder sold for $84,600, while another showing multiple intersecting die cracks across the obverse achieved $71,300. Prized for illustrating the die's gradual failure. Struck-through errors occur when foreign material such as grease, cloth, or debris interferes with the strike. On proof coins, these errors often result in smooth, recessed areas where details should be. A 1974 proof cent struck through grease, leaving parts of Lincoln's portrait faint and incomplete, sold for $68,900. A more dramatic example, where fabric appears to have been trapped between the die and planchet, creating a textured impression, reached $103,800 at auction. Wrong planchet errors represent some of the highest value mistakes known for the 1974 Lincoln cent. These occur when a penny design is struck on a blank intended for another denomination or composition. Because proof blanks are carefully segregated, such errors are exceedingly rare. One authenticated 1974 penny struck on a thinner-than-normal planchet sold for $118,500. Another example believed to have been struck on a foreign planchet generated intense bidding and ultimately realized $160,980, placing it among the most valuable modern Lincoln cent errors ever recorded. Multiple error coins are where values can climb rapidly. A 1974 proof penny showing both a double die and a struck-through error sold for $127,400, largely because the combination created a unique specimen unlikely to ever be repeated. Another coin displaying an off-center strike along with partial plating loss reached $142,600, showing how layered mistakes can elevate a coin into elite territory. Auction houses play a crucial role in establishing these values. When a rare 1974 error penny is professionally graded, photographed, and marketed to the right audience, competition can become intense. In several high-profile sales, coins from this year exceeded their pre-auction estimates by wide margins. One example, initially estimated at $60,000, ultimately sold for over $90,000 after extended bidding, highlighting strong demand for top-tier proof errors. Condition is one of the most important factors affecting value. Proof coins are expected to have flawless surfaces, so any damage unrelated to the minting error can significantly reduce value. Coins that retain deep mirrored fields, sharp cameo contrast, and minimal handling marks command the highest prices. A lightly handled error may sell for tens of thousands, while a nearly perfect proof example can double that figure. Collectors are also drawn to the historical context of the 1974 penny. This was a time of transition in U.S. coinage, with rising metal costs and evolving minting techniques. Errors from this period reflect the challenges faced by the mint as it balanced efficiency with precision. Each mistake tells a story about the machinery, materials, and human oversight involved in coin production. Market trends suggest that interest in proof error coins continues to grow. As more collectors enter the field and as existing examples become locked into long-term collections, availability decreases. This scarcity, combined with the visual drama of proof errors, supports strong prices and long-term appreciation. Coins that sold for modest amounts a decade ago are now achieving record prices, especially when they feature bold, easily visible errors. What makes the 1974 Lincoln cent particularly compelling is the fact that undiscovered examples may still exist. Some proof sets were opened decades ago and spent unknowingly, while others remain tucked away in estates or old collections. Each new discovery has the potential to reset expectations and attract fresh attention to this already desirable year. The 1974 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny error coins demonstrate how rarity, condition, and visual impact combine to create extraordinary value. From double dies and off-center strikes to struck-through errors, cuds, and wrong planchet mistakes, these pennies showcase the unpredictable side of minting. With confirmed auction prices ranging from $76,500 to $160,980, they stand as powerful examples of how a small proof coin can become a major numismatic treasure, valued not for its denomination, but for the story it carries in metal. The 1996 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny was struck at the Denver Mint during a time when billions of pennies were being produced each year. Most of these coins entered circulation immediately and were spent without a second thought. Despite the massive output and modern minting technology, a number of production mistakes still occurred. A small fraction of these errors escaped quality control and survived in conditions that later made them highly collectible. Today, verified 1996 Lincoln cent error coins are among the most talked about modern penny varieties, with auction prices recorded from $56,500 to $138,870. Depending on the severity of the error, visual strength, and state of preservation. BY 1996, the Lincoln cent was made from a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This change, introduced in the early 1980s, allowed for faster and cheaper production but also created unique error possibilities not seen on earlier solid copper cents. Issues with plating adhesion, die alignment, striking pressure, and planchet preparation all contributed to the variety of mistakes collectors now search for in 1996 pennies. Because the Denver Mint was producing cents at high speed, even a brief malfunction could result in a small batch of dramatic errors before being corrected. One of the most desirable errors found on the 1996 Lincoln penny is the double die. This error originates during the die-making process, when the design is impressed more than once onto the die in slightly misaligned positions. On true doubled die obverse examples, strong separation can be seen on the date, the word liberty, and parts of In God We Trust. A certified 1996 D double die penny with bold, easily visible doubling sold at auction for $56,500, while another example with sharper details and full red mint luster reached $64,800. Coins showing clear doubling without magnification are especially prized. Off-center strikes are another major category of valuable 1996 D penny errors. These occur when the blank planchet is not properly seated between the dies. When the coin is struck, part of the design falls outside the striking area. Mild off-center examples are common and bring modest prices, but dramatic off-center strikes with 40 to 60% of the design missing and a visible date are extremely rare. One such 1996 D penny struck approximately 50% off-center sold for $71,200, largely due to its clean surfaces and intact date. A more extreme example, exceeding 60% off-center while still showing 1996, sold for $88,400 after competitive bidding. Plating errors are among the most visually striking mistakes found on 1996 D Lincoln cents. Because the copper coating is extremely thin, any disruption during the plating process can result in dramatic defects. Some coins show partial copper loss, exposing the dull gray zinc core beneath. Others display blistered plating, where air pockets form under the copper layer. A 1996 D penny with extensive missing copper plating across the obverse sold for $34,900, while another example featuring peeling copper sheets curling away from the surface reached $47,600. In rare cases where plating loss is severe but the coin remains in mint state condition, values increase sharply. Broad strike errors also play a role in the high-value category for 1996 D pennies. A broad strike occurs when the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally forms the edge. The metal spreads outward, creating a wider than normal coin with a flat or rounded rim. A fully struck 1996 D broad strike penny with strong detail and minimal wear sold for $52,800, while a higher grade example with bright red surfaces achieved $67,300. Broad strikes that remain perfectly centered are especially attractive to collectors. Die cracks and die breaks appear frequently on heavily used dies, and some of the most impressive examples are found on 1996 D pennies. Small cracks show up as thin raised lines, while advanced failures create large raised areas known as cuds. A 1996 D penny with a large cud extending from the rim into Lincoln's portrait sold for $58,900. Another specimen displaying multiple intersecting die cracks across the obverse and reverse reached $63,400, valued for the dramatic story it tells about die deterioration. Wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most valuable 1996 D Lincoln cent mistakes. These occur when a penny design is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination or an improperly prepared planchet. Although extremely rare in the modern era, a confirmed 1996 D penny struck on an underweight planchet sold for $79,600 after professional authentication. An even more unusual example believed to have been struck on a foreign planchet sparked intense interest and sold for $92,750, placing it among the most valuable modern penny errors. Double strikes add another layer of collectability. These errors occur when a coin is struck more than once, sometimes with the second strike slightly rotated or offset. A 1996 D penny with a clear double strike showing overlapping features sold for $69,200, while another example with a rotated second strike and visible doubling on both sides brought $83,100. The more dramatic the second impression, the higher the demand among collectors. Some of the highest prices recorded for 1996 D penny errors involve coins with multiple errors present at the same time. These multi-error coins are extremely rare because they require more than one malfunction to occur before the coin leaves the press. One standout example featured a strong off-center strike combined with extensive plating loss and a visible die crack. This unique piece sold at auction for $121,500. Another multi-error coin showing a broad strike, double strike, and partial lamination defect reached $138,870. setting a record for the year. Major auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have documented steady demand for high-grade 1996 D Lincoln cent errors. In several cases, coins exceeded their pre-sale estimates by large margins, driven by competition among collectors specializing in modern mint errors. Coins that are certified, well photographed, and clearly described consistently achieve the strongest prices. Condition remains a critical factor in value. A circulated error may sell for thousands of dollars, but a mint state example with sharp detail and clean surfaces can command several times more. Collectors strongly prefer coins that show the error clearly without damage, cleaning, or heavy wear. Certification not only verifies authenticity but also establishes trust in the market, often pushing final auction results significantly higher. What makes the 1996 D Lincoln penny particularly exciting is the possibility that undiscovered examples still exist. These coins circulated widely, and many were overlooked at the time they were released. Some error coins may still be hidden in old collections, forgotten jars, or unsearched rolls. This sense of ongoing discovery keeps interest in the series alive. Beyond their financial value, these coins represent tangible records of the minting process. Each error captures a moment when machinery failed or materials behaved unexpectedly. On a coin as iconic as the Lincoln cent, these imperfections create a fascinating contrast between mass production and individuality. As the market for modern error coins continues to mature, interest in pieces like the 1996 D Lincoln cent is expected to remain strong. With documented auction prices ranging from $56,500 to $138,870, these coins demonstrate that even a common penny can become a rare and powerful collectible when the right error occurs. The 2001 Lincoln 1-cent penny may look like any other penny in your pocket, but within that year's mintage, a handful of extraordinary errors slipped through the minting process and into circulation. Those mistakes turned ordinary copper-plated zinc discs into dramatic rarities that now attract serious collectors and intense auction interest. When the right combination of error and preservation comes together, a 2001 penny can climb from a few dollars to life-changing sums. Some pieces have sold in the five-figure range, and the market has seen examples bring prices from about $52,900 up to $128,750, depending on the rarity and grade. One reason the 2001 penny produces such exciting finds is the variety of errors that can occur on modern coinage. Off-center strikes are among the most obvious and visually dramatic. A coin struck 30 to 60% off-center that still shows the date is instantly desirable because it's easy to spot and impossible to reproduce convincingly. Collectors pay premiums for well-centered date visibility. A clean 50% off-center 2001 penny in near-mint condition recently realized a mid-five-figure sum at a specialist auction, well into the tens of thousands, because it combined a bold misstrike with pristine surfaces. Double dies are another headline-making error. Unlike mechanical doubling that can happen from die bounce, a true double die results from an error in the die-making process and shows strong, separated impressions on letters or numerals. On 2001 pennies, doubled lettering around Liberty, "In God We Trust," or the date itself creates a striking, unmistakable effect. One particularly sharp double die obverse appeared in an online auction and drew fierce bidding, eventually selling for a figure collectors still talk about, well above typical modern era prices, because the doubling was broad, clear, and preserved on a red mint state surface. Broad strikes create a different kind of drama. When a collar fails and the blank spreads during striking, the coin becomes slightly larger with a smooth, expanded rim and an almost inflated look. Broad-struck 2001 pennies are prized when they retain full detail and luster. A top-condition broad strike from a recent sale climbed into the mid-five-figure zone because it combined strike quality with exceptional eye appeal. A perfect broad strike with additional attractive qualities, toning, original mint sheen, or a minor adjacent error, can make bidders compete aggressively. Plating problems are unique to modern copper-plated zinc cents and can be especially valuable. When the copper plating peels, bubbles, or detaches, the exposed gray zinc core creates a startling contrast. Some 2001 pennies show dramatic plating loss across large areas. Others display tiny blister-like domes where the plating separated. Strong, well-preserved plating loss examples are both rare and visually compelling. One such coin, showing near-complete plating failure but nearly flawless surfaces beneath, realized a significant five-figure sum because collectors prize the combination of rarity and dramatic appearance. Wrong planchet and off-metal strikes occupy the rarest tier. Imagine a 2001 Lincoln design struck onto a blank that wasn't intended to be a penny, perhaps a leftover planchet of an unusual thickness or a planchet intended for another denomination. These mismatches create coins that look and weigh wrong, and the story behind them makes them museum piece desirable. A documented 2001 penny struck on an incorrect planchet sold at a high-profile auction for an eye-opening price, proving modern wrong planchet errors still ignite the market. That sale pushed chatter across collector forums, and other examples with similar traits later sparked competitive bidding that landed in the upper end of the market. Die chips, die cracks, and cuds are the work of failing tools. A die crack will transfer a raised line across the coin's field. A cud, where a piece of the die breaks away, leaves a raised, blob-like mess. These features can be small and subtle or massive and defining. One 2001 penny with a huge rim-to-design cud and clean surfaces went to auction and comfortably cleared the mid-five-figure mark. Another coin showing an intricate network of die cracks across Lincoln's bust sold for a strong four-figure sum because of the visual storytelling. The coin literally preserves the moment the die failed. Sometimes errors combine, and that's when values really spike. A coin that's both off-center and double-struck, or a broad strike with a significant cud, becomes not just rare but unique. One such multi-error 2001 penny hit the auction block with a pre-sale estimate that was modest, then triggered a bidding war that drove the final price near the $128,750 benchmark. Proof that collectors will pay top dollar for singular, dramatic survivors of minting mayhem. Struck through errors, where foreign material, grease, or fabric interferes with striking, also surface on 2001 pennies. These can remove or distort entire design areas, leaving smooth voids or unusual textures. Most struck-throughs sell modestly, but when they occur on an otherwise perfect, mint-state planchet, the price escalates. One struck-through error that left Lincoln's jawline smoothed out sold in a live auction for an unexpectedly high amount because it was essentially an uncirculated, one-of-a-kind specimen. Clipped planchets, clean crescents or straight edge cuts where the blank was mispunched, remain a collectible favorite. A 2001 penny with a large, neat clip and full mint luster recently reached a strong auction price. While clipped planchets are not always top-dollar items on their own, a clean clip on a pristine 2001 off-center or double-die example multiplies interest dramatically. Certification matters. A dramatic error penny that has been authenticated and graded by a major service earns buyer confidence and generally brings far higher prices than uncertified pieces. Grading confirms the error's authenticity, the coin's state of preservation, and rules out post-mint damage or alterations. Many of the headline results for 2001 pennies took place only after coins were slabbed and marketed to specialist collectors and dealers who understand the premium for top-grade, verified errors. Provenance and the auction story add fuel to the fire. When a 2001 error penny is tied to a compelling discovery, found in a bank roll, rescued from a decades-old coin jar, or recovered from an estate, the human element amplifies interest. Auction houses that market the backstory alongside professional photos and certification often see aggressive bidding. For example, several 2001 errors sold in recent specialist sessions for notable sums. Some just above the lower range, some pushing into the middle five figures, because the narrative made the buyers emotionally invested. Eye appeal is king. Two coins with the same technical error can fetch very different prices simply based on how they look. Luster, strike quality, surface marks, and toning all influence final sale prices. A visually stunning off-center 2001 penny with a clean rim and untouched fields will attract more bidders than a similar error that's been scratched or cleaned. That's why the best results are reserved for error specimens preserved in near-mint condition. The modern error market has matured. Collectors now know which varieties resonate and which don't. Where once modern mistakes were overlooked, today they are actively hunted and aggressively purchased. Sellers who bring a well-documented, certified 2001 error penny to the right platform often find multiple buyers willing to pay premium prices. Modest but clear examples might sell for a few thousand, stronger pieces for tens of thousands, and the rarest showstoppers, especially multi-error, high-grade specimens, reach into the six-figure tier if you handle a 2001 Lincoln penny that looks unusual in any way. Off-center, doubled letters, odd color, raised blobs, or a strange weight. don't clean it. Keep its original surfaces intact and consider having it photographed and authenticated. The difference between a careless cleaning and a verified mint state grade can be the difference between a modest sale and an outcome in the $52,900 to $128,750 range that collectors will remember. These pennies capture the imagination because they are everyday objects turned extraordinary by chance. A minute misalignment, a failing die, a stray piece of debris. Any of these can freeze a rare moment in metal. For collectors, the 2001 Lincoln-era penny is a modern reminder that treasure can still appear in the most ordinary places, and that sometimes the smallest coins hold the biggest surprises.